Are we just going to jump into it?
Yeah, why not?
Each episode will be giving our first impressions of the film based on the trailer and our first watch of the movie, then break down the film and discuss notable scenes and things that worked well or worked against the themes of the film. We'll end off our serious talks about the film with a fun segment, our FMF, our Fuck, Marry, Friend Zone, with the male characters of the movie. And this season, we're introducing The Big Nine, a segment where we identify how well a movie included women in 9 major filmmaking positions. Finally, we'll give our final scores, 10 stars being a perfect film needing no improvements, 5 stars being a flawed movie but still watchable, to where if it came on again we wouldn't mind it, and then 1 star being should have kept it in the drafts. And we'll end with similar movies we would recommend if you enjoyed this movie, and some other films by the same director. Today's episode is about the movie, the film. What?
It's the movie.
Yeah, it's about the movie. You all know it. I don't have to say the title.
Yeah.
Gunpowder Milkshake, written by Navat Papuchado, who directed it as well, and wrote it alongside Ehud Lavsky. The film follows Sam, who is a cold-blooded hit woman in a high-stake mission spinning out of control. And the film stars Karen Gillan as Sam.
All right. So, first impressions, I guess.
How did you hear about the movie?
How did I hear about it? I think I just saw it on Netflix, the banner.
I could have sworn that you had sent me like an Instagram video or like an Instagram advertisement.
It may have been an Instagram ad from Netflix because I do follow Netflix.
Yeah,
I send people a lot of movies.
Yeah, that was the first time I had seen it. Was you sent me something? Maybe it was on Twitter. I can't remember. And I never saw the trailer, but I just saw like what you had sent me, and I was like, okay, there's girls in it, so I'll watch it.
Yeah,
but it was written and directed by men, though.
Yeah, so. I was like, that's like, and then like. All the advertisements I saw were definitely, like, ensemble cast. Like, I was like, ooh, Angela Bassett's gonna be in it. I was like, Michelle Yeoh's gonna be in it. And I was like, Karen Gillan, that's so cool. Lena Headey. I was like, why do they have such a, like, star-studded cast, you know? Like, there's so many well-known names. So, yeah, I was like, cool, an ensemble, like, women's, I don't know, like, gang, maybe... I don't know, weapons and books. I was like, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool, the colors and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
Yeah, what was your first impression?
Honestly, I feel so bad. But it was so, like, long. Mm-hmm. Like, I definitely checked the clock a couple times. And I was just like, we're still going at this movie. But then also the movie didn't really make that much sense. So, like, even though we were getting to the end, I was like, I had so many questions that still weren't answered, and then it ended, and I still have so many questions.
Ooh, what were some of the things that you feel like weren't answered?
Like, I want to know why the librarians exist. Like, what their whole thing is. Like, in the movie, she just goes to them, and they're like, oh, you're so-and-so's daughter, like, eventually. And then they're just like, all right, well, you're going to need all this reading material. And they just give her books that have weapons in them. Like, why are they hiding weapons in like, books? Like, guns and books? Are they, like, an organization? Is it just them? Are there more libraries? I want to know.
That's true.
Like... I feel like you could totally make an entire series based off of the library itself. And you know what? We didn't even need this movie.
We just want to know the librarians.
Like, think about the Kingsman movies. Like, the Kingsman movies, they explain to you, like, how Kingsman is a thing. Even if it's just, like, a very short explanation of, like, Kingsman, it exists. This is why it exists, because spies. But also, we're, like, an outside organization that just decided... that this was, like, our thing so that we could get around, like, legal government things. That was, like, a sentence. Honestly, a long sentence, but, like, they could have done that, and they didn't.
Well, honestly, with Kingsman, I don't remember that movie. Like, I remember watching it just because I thought, like, the fight scenes looked cool, and then I don't remember the plot, like, at all.
But, like, they answered why they existed in the first place, you know? Like, no one was left wondering why. Like, I wouldn't know why there's a library with, like, 3 women in them that just have books with a crap ton. Like, where are they getting the weapons? Are they stealing them? Is it, like, a black market thing?
That's true.
Are they, like, sponsored by someone?
I read recently somewhere that part of, like, storytelling and making the illusion real for the audience is putting coincidences as early on in the narrative as possible, because then it feels just like world building, and it feels like it's already built into the world rather than something convenient or, you know, a random happenstance, and it feels corny. But then I feel like, they kind of introduced the library a little late.
It's a lot like...
so it feels random.
What's that writing technique? Is it called, like, Chekhov's gun, I think? Is when they, like, introduce something in the story that has, like... It's, like, very random, and the audience is like, wait, why is this a thing? Only to bring it back later for it to make sense. So, like, for example, like... I'm only going to bring this up because me and my friend Whitney were talking about it when we were watching The Suicide Squad, but there's, like, a scene in The Suicide Squad where Viola Davis's character is doing, like, putt-putt in her office, and then later they end up using the golf club as, like, a weapon or something. So it gives you reason to know, like, okay, she had the golf club didn't just come out of nowhere. It makes sense that there's a golf club and that it was used, like, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Which I feel like goes hand in hand with what you were saying. Like, you want to put things in the story to kind of, like, at least give us something, you know? Even if it's, like, one of my least favorite things in movies where they have the TV or the radio going and it's, like, the news telling you, like, what the state of the world is in. Like, it does wonders for the story. Sure, it may technically be a cop-out maybe, but it works. It works and it answers the questions.
Now I'm trying to think. They really didn't have anything having to do with the library, like, in the first 30 minutes, do you think? I'm trying to remember.
No, I don't think so. Because the first, like, it doesn't, like, open with anything but Karen Gillan's character, Sam. Like, Sam goes and she's fighting, and then she double-crosses the guy, I think.
Yeah. She accidentally kills someone she wasn't supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah, she, like, kills the guy, and then they're mad at her for killing the guy, and then she's like, oh, come on, really? You can't be mad at me for that, which is, like, the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. And then they sent her on another mission. Nathan, for some reason, the head of the firm that's after her, that's also her, like, caretaker for reasons that they don't explain.
Even though she's grown.
Yeah. She goes to do that thing, and while doing that thing, also kills more people of whom she wasn't supposed to kill. So now she has to, like, finish the, like, mission or whatever of the people that she killed. I don't remember. It was so bad. It's so muddy.
I think,
but, like, the library doesn't come into effect until, like, literally, like, I don't know, it felt like the middle of the movie, but it was so long.
I think that they had made, like, mention of it early, but, like, there was something with books, and she was in the diner, and she was, like,
when they do that flashback to, like, her mom.
The mom tells her to, like, give her a book, and then she gives her a book,
and there's, like, a book there, and then, like, okay, and it has, like, a weapon in it.
Yeah.
And so that's supposed to somehow lead everyone to believe that the library is real and has a reason to exist.
Yeah, because literally I was like, oh, that's just a cute creative way to, like, do one thing. I didn't know it was, like, a system.
It's like those, like, old spy movies where they have, like, the book and they open it and there's, like, a little compartment on the inside.
Yeah.
Like, it could have just been that. And then I was like, okay, fine. But yeah, they literally don't introduce the library for so long because I want to say it's not until she has to go back to the bowling alley after she severely injured. She severely injures that dude, and she's like, "Oh shoot, he's not supposed to die. I need him alive." And then she takes him to the hospital and is like, "Here, fix him. I'll be back." And then she's like, "Okay, I gotta go to the bowling alley because it's, for some reason, I think the money that he had was the money of the guy who's after her because she killed his son earlier. And then she needed weapons, so she goes to the library. That doesn't know she exists. So they're like, who the heck are you? And she's like,
well, they know she exists, but they haven't seen her since she was like a child. Yeah, they haven't seen her since she was a child.
Which, like, you would think she looks somewhat similar from the age that she was there as a kid, which was memorable. Like, she was an old enough child to, like, still, you're like,
well, here's the thing, the way that they introduced it was confusing, and it goes back to how you're like, they need to really flesh that out a little more, because when Sam is handing over the bag and she's like, I need some books, or she's like, I'm going to return some books, or whatever she says, the lady at the desk doesn't recognize her, but like lets her come, and it gave me the impression that like, oh, they have a lot of customers, like, you just say the secret password and then you get guns or whatever. And these ladies, they help anyone. Yeah, but then apparently, like, nobody knows. Or this humongous building in the middle of the city, and everyone's just like, I don't know what's in there. I don't know. We walk past it. Okay. What? Okay. Whatever.
I don't understand.
I don't know. Okay, because honestly, before we get even further, I just want to talk about the title too. They really forced that milkshake part, which is so upsetting. I thought that was going to be important.
I know,
but literally, she just has a milkshake at the beginning of the movie. Yeah, that never is relevant.
Like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, there is, but there's not a lot of milkshakes. Yeah,
I was really let on by this movie, and I was let down so hard.
Yeah, that was some betrayal. It sounded so yummy.
I know, like the neon lights and everything. That was the only thing that actually like carried through the movie was like the stylistic like things that the guy did.
It was
director did for the movie. Like it looked cool. I just like was like cool. Like I don't really feel like continuing to watch it, but maybe it'll make sense. You know, at the end they'll tie up all the loose ends, and then actually they opened up more questions at the end. Like, I guess she just adopts that girl, the little one, because her dad's dead.
That's her
and
apprentice.
Then she's like, her apprentice. And then immediately puts her into harm's way. Yeah,
literally. It's like, I know you don't like kids, but damn. Yeah. Like, you're really gonna just let this child die? Like, okay, cool it, bitch.
Oh, my goodness. Like, someone literally died in the process of all of this, trying to protect this girl to make sure that she didn't die. And then they just immediately put her right back into harm's way, into, like, the most dangerous situation. Which, sure, why not? None of the rest of the movie made sense. You may as well.
It literally didn't. Like, I remember when they were in the bowling alley and she's fighting off the guys, and the guy, or she was making the money drop, right? And she was telling him, he was like, oh, so don't make any wrong moves or I'll kill you or whatever. He's like, okay, so wear this outfit and meet me here. She doesn't wear the outfit. And she's like, I'm going to wear this jacket instead. And, like, puts on some random, like, blazer jacket and then gets away with it. And I was like, okay, so, like, honestly, that's such, like, it totally reminded me of What's His Name in Drive. I was like, they're totally trying to do a Drive, where he had, like, the Drive jacket. And
I was gonna bring that.
I was like, get out of here with that shit. Like, can you just keep that in that lane? Like, we don't want that shit. Like, that was so irritating to me.
Yeah, so let's talk about a stylistic movie where it's kind of boring and feels way too long. Drive and this one.
Dude, I could. Oh my god.
Like, at least Drive didn't leave me with this many questions, but still.
That's true.
My problems with Drive are different than my problems with
my problems with Drive are different in this movie. Oh my goodness.
Okay, this movie, it just feels too Hollywood for me, which is kind of ironic because it was released on Netflix. It was like direct to Netflix. But I feel like I'm just impervious to Hollywood movies at this point, like action movies, where it's like they do a whole like 5-minute action sequence and she's fighting, she's doing flips, and then she's like, okay, I'm done, and her hair is perfect and her makeup is perfect, and it's like she had heels on, and it's like, you know what, I can't do that anymore. Like it does nothing for me. I'm spaced out. I'm like, I don't know. I'm impervious.
And then
it was just
on the topic of like 5-minute long fight scenes, I thought they were gonna be like, you know, cool moves, like really understood. Like, I was so bored. I felt bad. I was like, okay, yeah, she's gonna win, obviously, because like she has to, but like it was not that interesting. I was like, I've seen choreographed fights that are way better than this in like Netflix television shows that have like teenagers in it, you know?
Oh my
and I was like, come on, like you really gave us absolutely nothing. And then the like banter was crap. It was so bad. Like the two henchmen that end up intercepting her at the bowling alley from Nathan, the firm guy, and he's like, I need to make sure that we get the money, and they're like, okay, like, any means necessary. And he's like, just don't kill her. And so they're like, well, I guess we can't kill you. Boss man must like you. And it's like, you would think they'd know who she is, considering he's literally her caregiver from, like, 15 years ago. For an entire 15 years. And then she's like, all right, well, I really don't want to hurt you boys. And then they're like, huh? And then she just, like, kicks their butt, but like in the most boring way possible, where she just like breaks their bones immediately and then like hits them with a bowling ball, and we're like, okay, I saw that one coming. Are you gonna give me something more interesting? Like, give me like her, like, if you want to go with like the crazy like ultra non-realistic thing like vibe that this movie definitely had going for it, the fights were way too realistic for how like absurd the rest of the movie seemed, because she would do things where it's like, yes, the way that she fought makes sense for like how small she is. She used like gravity and like, you know, like physics to actually like fight, and use like heavy objects to like take down heavier guys. And I was like, it makes sense, but this movie isn't a realistic movie. Why are you giving me realistic action? I don't want that. You're gonna make me believe this is an absurd different world. Like, why? And then the one time they do give you that with the freaking guns, and she can't feel her arms, and she's just swinging them around. I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. So
it didn't work. And then the 8-year-old was helping, and I was like, I don't know. I was checking my phone.
When the 8-year-old's driving, and they're like, yeah, you're doing great. That whole freaking car chase scene, I was like, there's no way. Like, you've completely taken me out of the whole... This is supposed to be an absurd thing with the fact that you have realistic fight scenes and everything, and then you can't just switch it up like that. You can't do that. It doesn't make sense. My brain doesn't know if it's supposed to be, like, unbelievable, but funny, you know? Like, I'm gonna accept it because I know it's not supposed to be, like, realistic. Or am I supposed to think that this is, like a fight, like an intense, gripping fight scene? You can't just keep going back and forth between the two. Like, pick one, please. I need
there was a lot of
like
gratuitous gore. Yeah. And it didn't even stick in my head. I remember it being there. I don't remember what it was.
So very like, the only reason I remember things is because they bothered me, not because it was like good. You know, like I feel bad.
Damn harsh. I'm dead.
Like I just feel like if a movie is gonna leave you to remember something, it should be for like a good reason, not because you're like, ugh, I don't like that. Why did they do that? Like if I'm remembering things, I just can't.
It. Oh, I'm trying to think. It was like about the fighting. Oh, I think honestly too, it's like again with like the Hollywoodness, but just like it would really like it really would kill people to like put a lady with muscles in a main character role. Like,
Dude.
it's like, it's so Hollywood to have this like girl and but that's fucked up. Like,
you have to be a size 2 and you have to be beautiful. Like, I think we haven't even talked about this movie, and I don't even know if you've watched it yet, but Black Widow. I think one of the things that I like about Florence Pugh is that she, like, actually looks like she fights and stuff. So, like, she does great in Black Widow, and then she also did that movie Fighting with My Family, where she does, she's, like, a wrestler, like, a professional, like, wrestler. And
that's cool.
Like, it's super cool because in those roles, like, she actually gets to do the things where she, like, gets to fight. She gets to, like, do the stunt movements, but then she actually, like, works out for the role and, like, has the body type of the character that would do that. And it's really cool. But yeah, it's really interesting, I think, that that's, like, not a normal thing, because for men it's like completely normal. Like, people would be upset if someone were to play like Superman and he wasn't ripped. Like, they'd
exactly.
be like, this is so dumb, this isn't the Superman that I know. They'd be like, who is this? Like if the Hulk was actually played by someone that was like tiny and then like turned into the Hulk, it would be like extremely realistic. But we had like Edward Norton play him once. We've had Mark Ruffalo, and like, yeah, maybe Mark Ruffalo is like a little bit more like dad bod, but at some point in the 2000s he was like a heartthrob.
Yeah.
And like, they still have like a tougher, like, yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah, Florence Pugh is really cool, and I think she's said in interviews before that she will never lose weight for a role. She's like, you can just take me as I am or not, but I'm not gonna change the way my body looks. And I was like, that's cool.
That's actually something they did in a TV show, Mayor of Easttown, with Kate Winslet. She was in it, and like, she was like, look, you're not allowed to edit any of my scenes where I'm like naked or anything to make me look like not myself, because that's what I look like. That's what normal women look like. Like, yes, we have stomach rolls when we have sex with people. Like, don't edit my sex scenes to make me look like skinnier or smooth my skin or anything. Like, she literally was like, don't you dare.
That's good.
And it's like,
I love that.
That's wonderful. Because like, the reason we have such absurd views for women is because we just keep perpetuating that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, okay, another movie where skinny girls kick ass, okay, whatever. I mean, already there's not that many, like, with girls kicking ass at all. But it's just a weird thing that, like, we've kind of had to get used to, I think, where, like, even the men in the movie weren't, like, the bodyguards she's fighting, they're bulked up.
Yeah.
You'll never see that for a woman who's kicking ass. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Like, at least Lena Headey seemed like she was, like, solid. And, like, even some of the, like, even more of the librarians seemed like they actually worked out for their roles. Like,
honestly, yeah, the librarians seemed like they could beat someone up.
What? Like, we know Michelle Yeoh does, like, her stunts and stuff. So, like, wonderful. And you know that she used to do, like, Ip Man, and she's, like, martial art, like, literally so cool. And so it makes sense that she's like, yeah, I look like I do martial arts because I literally do martial arts. And like,
that's so cool.
Angela Bassett, like, she works out, and you could tell because when she like pumps those guns, her muscles flexed, and I was like, that's sick. I love that. Lena Headey, she does her freaking somersaults, but like, you can still tell that she's like when she's squatting, that her legs are actually doing that shit. Like, like, I don't know why.
Powerful.
Like, and I have nothing against Karen Gillan. And, like, I know she's done other, like, fighting movies. Like, she literally is Nebula in freaking Avengers movies, where she does fighting all the time. So it's like, why in this movie did she not have the same, like, I don't know, like, vibe, the same energy, the same actual, like, fighting material that she has in other things? It doesn't really make any sense. Yeah,
that's kind of something I want to talk about when we do Atomic Blonde, is because that movie was had its own little things with fight sequences in and of itself, but I feel like it was a lot more believable. But I feel like we can talk about that one when we do that.
Yeah.
A lot more believable than this one. I don't know what about this one was definitely off, but it took me out of the experience. Like, those really are just moments that I was just like, I don't really like this. I wouldn't recommend this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, like, it wasn't even funny. Like, no, their jokes hit. Like, when the doctor is like, oh yeah, it's laughing gas, and they're, like, cracking up, and then he, like, takes a hit of the laughing gas, and I was like, I feel absolutely nothing. Actually, I'm disappointed. That's what I did. I was like, come on. That's it? Like, you've got all this cool, crazy, like, material to work with, and this is what you gave me. It felt like... This is gonna sound horrible, but, like, I don't know if anybody else, like, read Wattpad, or, like, when people tried to write things, because I definitely had a lot of friends that tried to write Wattpads when I was in, like, middle school.
Like, self-inserts?
Like, well, I don't know about that, but they'd have this, like, this is a really great, like, idea for a story, and they'd be like, yeah, so it'd be, like, this, and then there's, like, this kind of character, and they do this, and then there's, like, this world where, like, this kind of stuff exists, and, like, it's this, and then you read it, and you're just like...
Ouch at whoever that was like, that you're talking about.
Like, you would even scroll through and they'd be like, awesome world building with like a girl that has fire powers, and then you read it and it's like, instead of actually being like fight scenes or something, it's just them talking about fighting or like fighting them or like talking about fire, and you're like, it hurts. That's what this movie felt like. They had a great premise, and then they just, like, didn't really give you anything. Like, they wrote it, but not really wrote it. Like, it was like a fever dream that they had that they wrote down really fast in the middle of the night.
Honestly, yeah. Well, I agree with what you said about how okay. So, I agree with what you said about how the premise seemed cool. I think if it were like a novel, it would have been just kind of fun and quirky and cool.
Or like a graphic novel. Like, was it a comic book?
Yeah.
Because there's no way that...
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe they did just come up with this. But I feel like there's no way they came up with this. Like, there's gotta be a reason. There's gotta be a reason.
I don't think that there is. Let me see. No, it's just raw. It's just it.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it could work. The major thing that bothers me, every single other thing aside, is the little girl. I did not think that she was necessary.
I also don't think she's a great actress.
No offense to her, but I was just like, she doesn't need to be here. And the fact that randomly at the end, she's like, you killed my dad, but that's okay. I want to be your apprentice. And I was just like, I don't like that.
You killed my dad, but I understand why, so it's okay. And it's like, what the heck? It's just with you.
It was weird. And I think it was like supposed to like help Sam's arc of like, oh, she hates people and da-da-da, and like now she's learning to care, and now she has a daughter, whatever. But I don't think that was necessary. I think Sam could have had an arc without the child. I think the child kind of like took away from a lot of the suspense and the action. Because another thing was like how you were like, oh, I know she's going to be okay. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, if she's with the child, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's just time wasting. They're just running around being quirky. Yeah.
Like, in order...
whatever.
For the fact that they really tried to make this movie, like, a mother-daughter relationship type, like, at the core of the story, they really did not actually have anything to do with the mother and the daughter, like, at all. Like, they have the flashback scene, barely in it. And then you're like, okay, so she's got that backstory. Interesting. Maybe we'll meet some cool people because they knew her mother. And then they bring the mother back. And you're like, okay, so... you know where your mother is, and you've known this whole time, but you've never seen her because you're mad she abandoned you?
That was confusing too. Yeah, that confused me. I didn't know if I misunderstood by
I know.
assuming that she knew where her mother was. I thought the mom was disappeared.
Yeah,
but then the mom was like,
you can't say the mom disappeared and then also be like, oh, but I know exactly where she is. Like, we need to go to her for help. No, that doesn't make sense. What?
Yeah, that was weird for me.
Yet another plot hole in this movie. And then they're like, I'm so sorry I left you, but, like, you know it had to do with the fact that, like, your father died and I needed to kill the people that killed him, and so I made that choice on my own. And she's like, yes, but, like, you had me and I could have, like, been your choice. And then she's like, and I made the other choice. And she's like, and now I have to live with that. And then she's like, okay. Yeah. And then for some reason they reconcile, I guess, at the end for coming back to help her at the end of the movie when they're in the library and they're fighting, which also doesn't make sense. Because I completely missed why she ended up having to fight all of those dudes again by herself. Because, like, that was the suspense part of, like, the big fight at the end of the movie was supposed to be, like, oh, no, she's going to have to do it by herself. No one's going to come back for her. And then the mom's like, you know what? She's my daughter. I'm not going to leave her again. Like, I'm going to go help her. And then they all decide to stay and help her.
I think it was because they wanted her dead because she betrayed or she fucked up the mission. She got the money exploded. And then they were like, just kill her. We need to disappear her, basically. And so she was like, they're coming after all of us, but they just want me. So I'm just going to go. I think that's why. She was like, fuck it. I'll just kill myself or whatever. Death by
She's like, I'll just
assassin.
Fight on my own.
Which, yeah, like, and then everyone was like, no, we'll help you. Whatever. Whatever.
Because these are the same guys that were like, oh, you killed the son or whatever. And they're like the same dudes that are fighting her. And I was like, okay, so they're going to fight her again. Because they obviously haven't learned from the past 5 times that they've tried to fight her. And now she's in a library with literally so many books. Like, it would have been fine if the mother, like, came back and helped her. Honestly, if it had just been them two fighting with an entire library, gigantic building full of weapons, I would have believed that they could have, like, won that. Based on the fact that every other fight, she just won because she's supposed to. Like, I would have believed that. Like, we didn't need the rest of the librarians to stay. Like, they could have gone off and been doing, like, a car chase or something. Like, no, they just come back for literally no reason. Like, no sentimental reason. Because they don't really care about any of the... Like, they have the child. That's the one reason. They were like, well, you have this child and we can't just, like, leave this child by herself. Like, they could have just taken her and gone. Didn't... So frustrated.
The one saving grace of the movie is that all the characters are girls. This would be unwatchable if it was all guys. Dude, I would not have finished this movie if it was all guys. I held out hope.
I would have turned off the movie probably.
I literally would have. This would have been fucking unwatchable. But I would admit it is cool. Now I feel kind of spoiled because I've seen so many movies where, I mean, cool things happen and it involves girls, and I guess
like we make
not
a
many people
point to look
are
for those
exposed
types
to that.
of movies.
What happened?
Like, we make a point to look for those kinds of movies. Like, we actively try to watch them.
Yeah. And I feel like for people that maybe this is like their first one where it's like an ensemble women movie, it's like, whoa. And so that can be good.
I think it doesn't even deserve the ensemble name.
Watch Birds of Prey instead.
literally watch Birds of Prey. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, is that movie even good? And I was like, excuse you?
It's the best movie ever.
It's the only movie DC has come out with since Wonder Woman. And I would say it's actually better than the first Wonder Woman. It actually just is. It's better than that one. I think so.
I definitely think so, yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah.
You watch Suicide Squad. You watch every other Zack Snyder DC movie. Yeah, it's so much better than all of those. It actually makes sense. It's not super dark that you can't freaking see anything the whole time. There isn't any unnecessary slow-mo that makes it 7 hours long.
6 parts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, Birds of Prey is great.
Okay, so Bechdel test. Or no, wait, are we doing FMF or are we going to do Bechdel test?
Can we even do FMF for this movie?
I think so.
There's like the two bodyguards and the freaking firm guy, right? I don't even remember the dudes in this movie. Like, I don't remember what they looked like.
Nathan.
I actually thought that the doctor guy was like multiple people in this movie, but he's not. I just mistook every single
They just look the same.
I was like, they just look the same.
Okay, let's do the doctor guy. His name is Dr. Ricky. And then we'll do Nathan, Paul Giamatti. And then we'll do this guy was in it. I don't know who he was. His character name was Jim. Who is that?
Who the heck is that?
I have no idea.
I have no idea who that is.
I've never seen this man before in my life.
We could do the dad that she killed. Or we could do the, like, mafia guy. That's, like,
there's this fine-ass man in the movie, and his name was David. Do we remember him?
Yeah, he was the dad. The one that died.
Oh, okay, let's do him.
Yeah, we need someone.
Yeah, because he's hot. Okay, so we'll do the dad, so we'll do David, and then we'll do the doctor, and then we'll do Nathan.
No.
Fuck the dad. And then friend zone Nathan, and then marry the doctor.
Interesting. I'd screw the dad because I don't know. That's the only feasible option there is. I would marry the firm Nathan guy for his money, and the doctor. Oh wait, I mean friends and the doctor, because you should have doctor friends.
The doctor can die.
Like a good friend.
Oh my god!
I forgot we were killing people in these scenarios for a second.
Oh my god! Oh, it'd be like that.
Yeah, I don't know. There wasn't much going for this movie to begin with. R.I.P.
Well, it definitely passes the Bechdel test.
Oh yeah,
what?
100%. It definitely passes. But like, I wanted to say this earlier. The little girl, they keep trying to make her like Madison Pettis was in like the game plan, where she's like a cute kid and like has opinions and stuff. Like they keep trying to make this a thing, and it's like it only works if the kid is good at it. Like you can't force a kid to have bravado.
Oh,
like, because this is the only thing that she gets cast as, is the cute kid that's supposed to be, like, opinionated and difficult. Because she's in
Wait, you know the actor?
Well, okay, because the other movie I know her from is the movie that the guy that plays Drax tried to do when he's, like, I think he's a hitman or something. I don't know, but it's literally the same dynamic, where she's, like, his kid, and he's like,
oh, My Spy. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah. It's like, what? Like they keep trying to make her play these roles, and I'm like, can you just give her something normal, please? I feel like you're doing her an injustice. Like, please stop.
Wow, Dave Bautista was in Army of the Dead, and he's in Avengers? Who is he in Avengers?
He's Drax. He's on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Drax?
He's actually really good. He was also in Blade Runner 2049.
Holy fuck.
But like, they literally made that My Spy movie, and I was like, that's the trashiest movie I could ever... Like, they tried to pull you could be like The Rock, you could be like a wrestler turned actor dude and do like funny things. The same thing they're trying to do with John Cena. We're just like, maybe stop.
Yeah.
Like, really.
John Cena did
The Rock
movie like that too.
But The
I
Rock is the only one who really could have like pulled it off, because he's got the personality for it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, the guy that plays Drax, he's actually very good at just being chill. Like being a big dude that's just unnaturally chill. That would be a great role to put him in. He was great in fucking Guardians of the Galaxy because he's funny. Like, it's actually funny. He's given good lines and he delivers them very well. But, like, honestly, his role sucked in Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead actually just sucks in general. I actually hate that movie with a passion.
I want to watch it. I haven't watched it yet, though.
I want you to try to watch it because I actually wanted to turn it off. Like, I was like so bored. And then, like, I listened to a podcast on it, the Black Men Can't Jump podcast. And they also were like, it's another one of those movies that just, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense, and there's no motivation for any of the characters. Like, at least in this movie, there was motivation. Like she was like, yeah, I'm motivated to, like, help the little girl because I just killed her dad, and that sucks, you know? Like, at least there's that. But Army of the Dead? Oh, my goodness. Like, okay, it cracks me up, and I just have to talk about it because it's so bad. Literally, the premise of the movie is, okay, there's Las Vegas that was taken over by zombies. They don't give you any context about the zombies. They shut down Las Vegas and, like, everything. Like, this whole big, like, battle type situation. People trying to get out. They're like, no, we have to shut it down because you guys could be, like, infected. That's, like, the beginning of the movie where it does all of the slow-mo shots and introduces all the characters for way too long. And he has, like, one song in the background that's, like, a rock song because he does that. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I thought that that's what the movie was going to be like. If the movie was, like, the first, like, 15 minutes, it would have been great. But no, it continues. They shut down Las Vegas. And then it starts, the movie starts after the shutdown of Las Vegas. For some reason, they have some weird immigration thing going on where there's, like, camps of people who can't leave the outskirts of Las Vegas because they think they might be infected or something, which is dumb because, like, if they were infected, you would literally know immediately. And that they keep telling you, like, oh, if you're infected, you're going to have these symptoms and we're going to have to shoot you on sight. But for some reason, they have to house people on the outskirts in, like, horrible camps. And so, because
I don't know if
Las
you're trying
Vegas,
to make me disinterested, but I'm so sold on this so far.
Which, like,
it sounds
doesn't
great.
make any sense that would be an issue for them. And so they're like, okay, Las Vegas is, like, shut down. All the casinos, people, like, go in and try to, like, rob the casinos, but a lot of them just end up dying because zombies. And then the whole premise of, like, this is just, like, the setup. Like, you learn all of this throughout the movie, but you never really understand, like, why. They don't really tell you why. And so Dave Bautista's character is the main character. You cut to him. This is where the movie starts. He was in the battle, as you saw in the montage at the beginning. Everyone in the montage at the beginning is like, there's no way I'm going back to, like, Las Vegas, like, F these zombies. I just had a horrible traumatic experience. I lost so many people. They're basically, like, veterans, you know? Like, people are like, oh my God, like, I can't believe you went through that. Like, it's a tragedy. And for some reason, they come to him and they're like, hey, we've got a crap ton of money for you if you go back to Las Vegas and steal this money that we need from this incredibly unhackable safe. And he's just like, okay.
Dude, I'm sold. I can't wait to watch this movie.
I need you to watch this movie.
This sounds awesome.
It's so stupid. He's like, okay, sure, why not? After having literally a conversation about how horrible his experience was, and he's literally, like, fine. Like, he doesn't need the money. He literally is just living life. He's
here's
fine.
the thing. You didn't finish the movie, so I'll finish it and I'll tell you if any of these plot
I just didn't
holes.
want to. I finished it. It ends
Oh,
really
I thought
dumb.
you didn't.
No, I finished it,
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay.
I was like, this has to make sense at some point, right? And then it ended, and I was like, God dang, this is the worst.
Oh my God, I'm so fascinated.
And it's
I
so
want to watch this so
long.
bad.
It's like 3 hours long. And then
Oh,
every
that
character
hurts.
that they bring in also has no reason to go in, and they all do. But here's the kicker. the money that they're all gonna get, Dave Bautista decides to portion it, not in like an even split, right? Or like he just offers people less and less to each person he adds to the group. So he's like, I'm obviously gonna get the most with this other girl who literally just goes in because she's trying to get with him. She's like, I'm gonna experience this ridiculously traumatic event because I think I'm in love with you.
Is that the one girl?
No, there's like multiple girls. And then there's like one guy.
Okay, nice.
There's one guy that goes in because he's like famous on like social media for like doing like crazy stunts and stuff. And like, he's like, yeah, shoot. Like, he's the only one with an actual reason to go in there. He's like, shoot, I could get so many followers off of that. And then they literally give him like, they're like, yeah, you do it for like $1,000, right? He's like, hell yeah. And you're like,
oh my
what?
God.
No.
That's awesome.
And he brings like 3 other people with him. And they're like, yeah, no, we've never fought a zombie before. It's totally unprepared.
I'm so fascinated.
And
It's
then
like a
one girl,
sickening fascination. Like,
yeah,
I just
like,
need to know.
It's like so bad. And then like Dave Bautista's character's daughter goes in because her best friend went in to get money to try and get her and her kids out of the like camp thing. And she's like, if I go in though, you have to promise me you'll watch after my kids and make sure that they have a good life, like if I don't come back. And so she literally doesn't come back. And she decides to ditch the kids to go after her friend who is most likely dead. Like, you're the worst friend ever. I would literally, I cannot believe that. You're the worst friend ever. Oh my God.
That's so funny.
Super dumb.
Well, that one's based off a comic. So I don't know how much of that happens in the comic, but
that movie actively pissed me off. Like, so bad. I don't even remember why I started talking about it.
What happened?
I don't remember why I started talking about it. Was it because Drax and the little girl?
Yes.
Tangents of tangents.
Because I didn't know he was in that.
For free, here you guys go. A movie that we absolutely would never review for the podcast. You have my review. It's really bad. But I dare you to try and finish it. That's my challenge. I dare you to finish it and actually pay attention the whole time, because that's the challenge.
I might have to watch it in parts. 3 hours, I'm probably gonna have to watch it in a couple parts. Fuck.
Yeah, it's bad. It's pretty bad. Anyway, back to Gunpowder Milkshake, which again, so sad that it wasn't more like interesting. Like, and I guess like the other thing about it is that they had this cool like found family thing, which like I will always watch a movie that has like a found family trope. I love those tropes. I think they're cool. Like, I think they're really great. And I feel like me as a person, like I'm always trying to like find people who also like want to be like family, you know? Like all of my friends, like I want us to, you know, like it's like a family thing. Like yes, very Fast and Furious, like we're family.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got friends, I got family.
Did you watch that movie? I didn't watch
Fast and Furious, I've seen all of them.
Really? I've never seen one.
I was telling someone that like, I feel like, because it's also, this is also, I guess, another freebie. I actually put it on our stories a couple days ago about the fact that like Fast and Furious is probably the only franchise that actually has and is every single one of the movies directed by people of color. Like it actually has like people of color starring in it. And like the only person that wasn't like of color that was like a main character was Paul Walker. And even he was like it was shared with like Vin Diesel and like everyone else. And like he was the only, or there were like 2 white guys, and like literally both of the white guys end up not being the ones that make it in the end, you know, kind of a deal. So it was like cool. But then they're also all directed by Justin Lin, who is not white.
Okay.
Like it's just really cool. And then like a lot of the producers are like they have this joke in the most recent one, which is kind of, I think, really great for, like, because I feel like the people that watch Fast and Furious are people that are, like, they're definitely people of color that know that this movie is, like, ridiculous, but they're just glad to have something that's pioneering, like, people of color being able to actually pull off ridiculous stunts, because most of us, if we came from the hood, like the rest of these people in the movie came from the hood, would never actually make it out or even be alive. So it's, like, a fun fantasy to, like, entertain. And the fact that it's a franchise is kind of awesome. And the fact that it's definitely just gonna keep going, and, like, even, like, the women in the movies, like, yeah, in the first movie, it's, like, 2000. I'm pretty sure it comes out in 2000. Like, it's been going on for 20 years now. And it's like, yeah, they may not have had great representation because it was the 2000s. Women didn't have great representation back then. But as, like, the years have gone and people have learned from their mistakes, they've actually given a lot of the women, like, way better roles, and they're like they actually fight and they look like they fight, you know, like they actually have actual character development and conversations about what it's like being so and so. And, like, it's weird because it's like you wouldn't expect people to like these movies, but the reasons they do aren't because it's a good franchise, it's because it's giving people something that they literally don't get in real life. Like, it's like the epitome of escapism.
Yeah, which is the, like, movies, that's the point of them.
Yeah, it's like
so
the found
that
family
makes sense.
idea of, like, having, like, your friends from the hood and you actually all get to, like, grow up together and, like, be rich and drive cool cars and, like, go around the world. And then there's, like, Ludacris, and he's in it. Ludacris is in it, and Tyrese is in it. And they have this
The new
joke
one,
in
right?
the end where they're in, like, multiple of them. Ludacris is in
Oh,
since
what?
the second one. The only one he's not in is the
What?
third one. Yeah.
Oh my
Tyrese is in
God.
the second one. Ludacris is in the second one. They bring those two in the second one. The third one is when they're in Tokyo, which is a completely separate cast. And then they realize, oh shoot, we need to bring them all back. So they bring back Vin Diesel in the fourth one and that whole crew. And then they bring in, actually, Gal Gadot's start was in the fourth Fast and Furious movie. She was in that movie. And then after that, they do Fast 5, which is kind of like they bring everyone back together. So you've got, like, Ludacris, Tyrese, Gal Gadot. You've got, like, all of them from, like, every movie. And that's just, like, the thing. It's like, unfortunately, I don't think we have, like, a queer equivalent to this. Like, I want to say, like how Birds of Prey is for the girls, Fast and Furious is for, like, men of color.
Wow.
It's for straight people of color.
Random.
That's
so
what Fast and
random.
Furious is.
I just thought it was, like, some random ass cars and shit, and my grandma likes those movies. So
Yeah,
I was
they're,
like,
like,
that's
really
a grandma
fun.
movie. I don't know.
Because it's also, like, unfortunately, one of the only, like, franchises that also has, like representation for, like, the Latinx community, too. Where it's, like, there's not a lot of franchises. And out of them, the majority of them are white. And, like, I think the more important part is that this one has, like, global status. Like, they literally have gone all over the world and premiered in other countries, which is why it's still going on, because Americans know that it's trash. But, like, it gets so much money in other countries and in the US. Like, it's always going to. And so it's just really interesting because, like, if we had a movie like Birds of Prey, that movie flopped. No one freaking watched that movie. And yeah, it probably had a lot to do with the pandemic, but I don't think a lot of people are going to watch the movie anyway. You know, like, it's so
Birds
many
of Prey
women.
came out in 2019.
Yeah, but it was
Wait.
in March. Like, right at the beginning.
Oh, it was March 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I thought it was 2019. No, it was 2020.
No.
You're right. Never mind. It came
It
out
was so
pandemic.
early,
Yeah, you're right.
like, right when the pandemic started. And it's like,
Yeah.
there's so many
'Cause I saw it in
franchises out there,
theaters.
and it's like, come on. Like, Avengers, that's probably the only other, like, global franchise that I can think of that makes that much money, and it's still majority white. Like, Star Wars, they had one black character, they had one Hispanic character, and they had one Asian character in the new ones, and they got bullied out of the freaking movies. Like, are you kidding me? Like, come on. Like, Fast and Furious is literally the only franchise that's been able to actually keep all of the people that they've hired, and they keep just casting more people of color. Like, they bring in more people that are like they have one girl that they brought in like from freaking, and like Charlize Theron was like, yeah, I'm in on this. This is fun. Okay, give it to me. I love this. Like, I'll take it. Like, I will keep watching those movies because they're trash, and I love seeing this random group of people doing crazy things that realistically they never would be able to. Like, that's the epitome of escapism. That's what I'm looking for in escapism. Like, if you're gonna give me, I think we've mentioned this before, if you're gonna give me something that's supposed to be like absurd, why not make it something that's like wonderful, you know? Like, what was it? I feel like we talked about it. Or like, if you're gonna give us like if you know it's gonna be like a crazy absurd movie, like this movie could have been, why not make every single one of them like a crazy like backstory? Like,
I think when we talked about Legally Blonde, we said that because we were like, yeah, why not just give
like,
them
why not
max
just
stats
pull out all
and
the
whatever.
stops?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, it's just, I don't understand. It's like, you have the budget, you have the creativity. Like, if you're just given this, and you're just gonna make the same thing. Why?
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
I've never seen it. I have nothing to contribute to that.
Just like, yeah, like Fast and Furious, they even hint at the fact that it's like an absurd movie. Like, they could have done that with this movie. They could have been like, yeah, this makes absolutely no sense. And we would have eaten that up. We would have loved it. We'd have been like, haha, they're self-aware. Wonderful. Like, we love that. Audiences love that. That's why Deadpool does great. Like, they had so much going for them. Because he's like a self-aware, like, breaking the fourth wall, like, unreliable narrator type thing.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
And it's like, come on. Like, they had so many opportunities in this movie to make it something that, like, we would have loved. And they just were like, no. Nah, wait. Like, I would have loved to have more fight scenes with Michelle Yeoh and Angela Bassett. Why they only fought at the very end of the movie? They were advertised to be an ensemble cast, and they did nothing until the end of the movie. They basically had, like, no lines until the end of the movie. You literally meet them, and then you don't talk to them again until the end of the movie.
Well, that kind of ties into, the Bechdel test, because it passes right away, I feel like, between Sam and her mom, but the women of color don't get lines. Or they, like you said, they barely get lines.
The 8-year-old.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the 8-year-old doesn't, like, talk at first. And then... Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, maybe, like, if you're gonna make a movie about women, you should just, like, have women behind the scenes, you know? Crazy idea.
Was it written by a woman? No?
No, it was written by a man, and it was directed by a man.
Yeah, that was so upsetting.
They thought that it was totally within their realm to talk about motherhood and found family between women. Because that makes sense. Totally have that perspective.
Again, it was kind of like the girl gets upset and then she cuts everyone off. I can't remember which one I talked about that in, but I was like, that's overdone. And you always see it, and guys always write it.
We talked about it in Black Bear.
Did we?
Yeah.
Maybe. I feel like I've said it a lot.
That's the one that I've posted snippets from that for some reason men have found and have actually proved the points that we've been making about how men write women, and I just think it's kind of funny. Because, it's like, okay, it's in Black Bear, it's in this movie, it's like really common. Yeah, so, it's in so many movies, so many of them.
I'm like tired of it. They're like, oh, women are just so emotional. And then when something happens, they just like, shut
That's
their
right, a movie
emotional,
with
whatever. They have an emotional
absolutely zero
response. It's like,
emotions.
I know. I'm like, okay, whatever. whatever. I'm over it.
This makes sense. Why not? Let's
I'm just
totally
glad that
do
you also had similar thoughts to me, because I watched it thinking like, I don't like this, and I was afraid if you liked it, I didn't know what I would say.
I was like
but I'm
so
glad that we're
excited
kind of on
to
the same
watch it,
page.
and then I was so disappointed.
Okay, so now, for the first time this new season, we're going to do our new segment, the Big Nine. We're going to look at 9 major positions behind the scenes making films, and just sort of go down the list, see where, if they do it all, where they include women in their roster. So the 9 major categories, we have director, writer, editor, cinematographer, art direction, composer, sound, costume, and then makeup. And for a lot of these, they have multiple people. I don't know. I don't know the way that you want to like look at that one. If you want to look at it, if there's a mix of men and women, what that means. But I think that the point of this segment is just to kind of acknowledge where, if at all, how this movie was inclusive of women. But because a movie can have an all-star female cast and be all men behind the scenes. And I think that definitely impacts the message. It changes the entire context of the movie. So, yeah, that is going to be the purpose of this one. We are going to be doing this instead of the Bechdel test. So, yeah. So the first one, I can just go down the list. We don't do video anymore. I was about to say, maybe I can make a graphic for YouTube and do a checkbox. We're not doing video anymore. So for director category, not a woman. Writer as well, both men.
Yes.
Yes. Editors, editor was a man.
Dang.
Cinematographer, man.
Oh my god.
For art direction, it's a mix. So we have 2 women and 2 men.
Okay. Statistically, that makes sense. The art directing and like stage production behind the scenes of films, like as far as like the aesthetics, statistically speaking, does include more women than other departments, but that's almost the same argument as like a lot of men assume women are more artistically or like created for the more like softer roles of creation, which is like the arts.
Yeah. Every piece of making a movie is important. But it just sucks because the further you get down the list of these like 9 little categories, it's like the lower they are in the end credits, you know? It's not advertised with these people's names
less, like,
on it.
influence they have on the like characters and the representation that's on
screen. Like they
screen.
still have an impact, but then by the time you get down, like, you know, like people, the movie ends and people get up and leave, but you know, people will know the director because that's the beginning, and the writer and that kind of stuff. But then all of these categories, you know, they include women. It's not really seen. So, composer was a man. Sound, the sound crew, 1 woman and 6 men.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and then these are just credited names. So, there are definitely things that happen in all of these categories that maybe not are credited, but of the people that did the work that is credited, 1 woman and 6 men. And then for costumes, it is an all-woman category. We got 2 women credited on there.
Cool. The costumes were wonderful.
Yes. And then makeup is a mix of men and women. There's a lot of people credited for that one, but it's a mixture. So the ones that had women, so there's only 1 category that was all women. Costumes.
And often it would be costumes because that fits the patriarchal narrative of women being the homemakers. which included making clothes.
Bye. I hate that that's just so perfectly stereotypical. Like, that's just, it's too ironic for a movie like this. Like, a movie that's like, we kick-ass women and this and that. Bye. They're gonna, anyways, that's just,
I
you
want to
can't
know
make
what
it up.
the girl's role was in the sound department. Like, was she the boom operator?
Yeah, so that one was the all-women category. There's only 3 other categories that had women in them. Makeup, art direction, and then sound. So it's a lot of, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that it didn't have women in the decision-making aspect of how the women were really presented in their characters or like their storylines.
Yeah, I think like
the like nuance is not there.
Honestly, the top 4 categories I mentioned, so we have director, writer, editor, and then cinematographer. I feel like those positions are especially important because those are people that are controlling, in some capacity, the image.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and the fact that those were all men, and then underneath those categories, so 5 through 9, you start to see women, but in those top 4, director, writer, editor, cinematographer, all people that interact with the camera and with the image that the audience sees, no women. In a movie that has pretty much an all-woman cast. And it's marketed towards women.
Marketed towards women.
And it's supposed to be some kick-ass, like, female, whatever, like, whatever type movie where you're supposed to...
Disappoint.
What's it called? Like a strong female protagonist. That sort of movie. And
like an ensemble women's movie.
Yeah.
Upsetting.
Yeah.
I'm so upset with this movie.
Yeah, so we just thought it'd be nice to just mention those sorts of things because sometimes movies can be marketed in that way, like they are for women, like by women, for women, and not to say that this is something like that is like that. Not to say that these men are bad people; they're just doing their jobs. But this happens a lot. It happens more often
this is why.
in movies targeted towards women than the other way around. You would never
It does, yeah. Like the majority of rom-coms in their entirety of existence.
Yes.
Written, directed by men, has male cinematography, male editor.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a female writer, and those ones I personally think are significantly better because yes, they do have like a nuance to them, but yeah, and they're all, it's so male dominated, and yet here we are supposed to be seeing something that's marketed for women. What is that really saying?
Yeah.
It's propaganda. I'm sorry.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, actually you're onto something. The government is like watching you now.
It's social conditioning. That's what that is. Social conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah, so then hopefully just in watching more of these movies, I mean, we don't have movies planned out that, that we're not ready to be like, oh, gotcha with any of these movies. I just think it's going to be really interesting to see what movies that we go into that we enjoy, just face value, and then we put, that movie up in the big 9 and then see, what's really going on behind the scenes and who was involved. Yeah.
Because I think almost always when we end up rating the movie, we always bring up someone from behind the scenes of oh, well, it was directed by a man, so obviously some of the things we talked about are because it was directed by a man and not a woman, stuff like that. So, I feel like things like the categories of especially the top 4, because that's what the audience really gets in the final edit of the movie and the final decisions made about the movie. That's what the audience gets to see. And because that's what we're viewing as the audience, it's going to jade our opinions. It's going to have a cloud, basically, about what we think about the movie after we find these things out.
Yeah, it's
because at some point, it almost becomes an explanation. Half the time. Of why we don't like it. Or why certain things that we didn't like happened.
Yeah, because I think we've mentioned it in
weird.
capacity before, like, or maybe I actually haven't mentioned this. I don't remember if I said this on camera or not, but there was somebody who talked about if you read a woman character and you don't like her, it might be because it was written by somebody who doesn't like women. Or have we mentioned that before? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah, or somebody who doesn't know women. Or, it's like, it's not your fault for not liking her because, and it becomes very stark and very clear when you look at, who is building
for
these
example,
worlds. Yeah.
The last season when we talked about Black Bear, we were like, this isn't how women interact with each other. And the way that they had them interacting was very, like, odd. And that's why we were like, this is so weird. And it made sense because you're like, there was no female perspective in that at all. And it shows. It really does show.
Yeah.
So, I'd probably give it a 2. That's my rating. I give it a 2. It's ratings time.
That's really low.
What were you gonna do?
Okay. I think, well, didn't I say that what number did I say, I would recommend this?
I thought it was like 5.
Was it 6 or 5?
5?
5? Okay, I'd probably give it a 4.5. Because I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend it. I'm sorry.
And I barely made it through it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was falling asleep. And then
I was like, I have to watch this movie because we're going to make a podcast off of it. Like, I have to finish it. Like, that was going through my mind the whole time. I was like, okay.
Yeah, me too. Fuck. Yeah. It's the genre and plot and story that I am attracted to, but
that's probably why I give it such a low rating, is because it really disappointed me.
Wow. Yeah. It did not hit the mark.
It's not hard to make those movies interesting and good and worth watching. Like, even if it isn't good, like, there's so many movies I watch just because I'm like, the colors are cool and I like them because it's funny. It has actual good fight scenes in it. Like, how did you go wrong? How did you go wrong with this? Ugh.
It had potential.
So much potential.
There was potential, and it just
let's have
didn't translate well.
Let's have
I'm sure you read really well.
Let's have with this movie what they keep doing with DC, where they just keep releasing the same one. Because, like, give this one to Kathy Yan. I want to see what she does with it.
That's true.
The hell out of
if they make a second one, that's true.
Just remake it. Do what they did with Suicide Squad. If we're doing that, you may as well.
Yeah. Yeah, just wait 4 years.
Yeah, just
start now.
The movie
in a couple years. Yeah.
Instead of Gunpowder Milkshake, call it the Gunpowder Milkshake.
Oh my God, your mind.
My brain.
Now you're thinking like a conglomerate.
Girl boss in this ish.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations?
If you want something way better, Birds of Prey, Atomic Blonde. Like, if you want women that are doing cool fight scenes, just watch those movies. Like, even Eon Flux is better than this. And that's like 2,000.
Neon Flux? What is that?
It's like 2,000 Charlize Theron. Watch Mad Max, even.
Ooh.
Fury Road. Mad Max Fury Road.
I really liked the Netflix television series. You said earlier, you're like, there's better fight choreography in Netflix television series. The Jessica Jones one.
Yeah.
The Marvel one.
Jessica Jones. Shoot, that show's great.
You don't need to know Marvel to watch it. It was really good. It's more, like, not dramatic, but it's not,
like a noir,
it's not
like a neo-noir
Gunpowder Milkshake, where there's, like, lights and jokes and stuff like that, but it does have a lot better fight scenes. It's like neo-noir. And it's really good. So I'd recommend that if you want something.
It is very, like, murder mystery.
Cooler.
Like, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of those are better than those. So sad about this movie. Watch, like...
We laid into this bitch. Oh,
man. Yeah. Well, you asked. We gave it to you. I'm just kidding. One person asked us to watch this movie. You know who you are. But we were going to do it anyway, so...
All right, well... Yeah.
You're to blame for us watching this horrible movie. Thank you so much.
No, but what if they liked it?
Oh.
We're cutting that out.
If you like this movie, I'm so sorry that we just laid
That's
into
so
it.
sad.
But maybe now you just have like a different perspective, because if you did like it, you were watching from a different perspective, and that's totally okay. Just the lens that we watched it through was not good.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? It's okay. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I got. Do you got anything?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm ready to pack this movie away.
Never watch again. Thank you guys so much for listening. Leave us comments if you're on YouTube, subscribe, give us a like if you're on our podcasting sites. Go ahead, download this, subscribe to us. Leave us a review. We would love to get some reviews from you guys. And yeah, share us with your friends. Like, comment on our stuff. We'd love to have conversations with you guys. You guys are like super funny and fun. Yeah. Have a great rest of your day, night, wherever. Bye.
Bye.
And soon.